Hi everyone, thank you for coming today in this tool in action. I hope that the first day of Devox UK was nice, at least the beginning. So today we are together to try to understand why Frontend deserves a bit of monitoring. I mean, let's be honest. We have maybe some tests, even some end-to-end tests if we are like audacious, but everything breaks most of the time and we don't know why. Most of the time, it's the client that just tell us, hey, this button don't work. This item is displayed not correctly or whatever. So the idea is to put a bit of observability in that. It wanted to click. I'm Henry. I'm a software engineer at Datadog. So Datadog is a monitoring platform that allows you to secure and observe your application at any scale, anywhere. But we won't talk too much about that today. So first, we will see why front-end monitoring matter. Then we will see the tools and techniques that we have today to monitor it and to put a bit of observability in it. Then we will see how to do it in a centralized way. And at the end, I will show you a bit of demo to see a proper application of this. So why does front-end monitoring matter? Back in the day, the web was looking something like that. Basically an HTML page with some images. If you were courageous, you could put some GIF also. And a bit of CSS. Everything was pushed from the server to the user, and we were just displaying it. So the usage of the JavaScript was really limited, and the life as a front-end developer was perfect. So in an architecture point of view, it was looking something like that. We are a database, a server, and a browser, and that's it. But especially after the pandemic, everything now goes through the web. And it's essential for everything, from taking a medical appointment, doing some administrative procedure, or buying anything you need. And so the architecture shift to something like that. So we have now multiple databases with sharding. We have multiple microservices serving multiple browser types and even different devices. We just don't serve anymore basic HTML and CSS application. But we have more complex and robust apps with underlying JavaScript features that even our backend friends will envy us. And as I like to say, as a front-end engineer, I just don't put anymore some stickers on the web page. But with this complexity, we also need something more robust to work with this distributed system that we created. And so when something breaks, we end up in this kind of situation. It's really hard for us to debug and to understand what's going on our customer device, because the browser is different from one device to another, even though we have Chrome, but the version can change. And we all face the situation where we were doing some back and forth with the client service, or maybe directly with the client, to try to understand what's going on. We're asking for some screenshot of the dev tools to see the error in the console, and having some minified JavaScript somewhere that you can't know what it is. And so we end up in this dilemma. Either we lose a client because we can't just fix the issue, and so the client will just leave, or we just try to lose our mind trying to fix an issue that we can't reproduce, and sometimes even the client can't reproduce, and we can't understand. Hopefully, we have a bit of tools. We have some tools and techniques to understand what's going on the client device. First, we have the real-time user monitoring that gave you some session information, performance information, errors analytics. So it's some tools like Sentry, Relic, or Datadog. We have them some analytics tool to take data-driven decision. So to name it, we have Google Analytics. And this tool can be used either by a developer to understand how his tool is used, but also by other services in the organization. Could be marketing, product. And this is used to take data-driven decision about the product. Then we have the error tracking to give us some alert about the errors. Sentry, Datadog aggregate the errors and allow you to alert on them. Also, since all the JavaScript and production, I hope for you, it's minified. It's thanks to the source map, it's unminified it, and you can really know where the error is, and it's easier for you to debug it. Then you have APM to get some tracing in your application and to understand what's going on in your application and maybe tracing until your database or your server. And at the end, you have the log searching. I won't explain what it is. It just helps you to search logs. But all of these are happening in different places. And it can be hard to track and to understand what's the state of your front-end application at a specific moment. Basically, you know what's happening. But observability and monitoring is not knowing what's happening, but it's about your system works and tell you how it works. So you need to send hyper-specific data to really know what's going on in your system. And this data, you decide what you need. You are the one that building it, and you are the one that knows how it should work and what you need to know to tell you why it works, basically. And so we have one great tool, OpenTelemetry. OpenTelemetry, or OTel, so it's a vendor-agnostic tool, open source observability framework, that helps you to instrument in order to generate, collect, and export telemetry data, such as traces, logs, metrics. And the real crucial part about OpenTelemetry is that it's vendor-agnostic, tool-agnostic, and it can be used in the various ways on most all SDKs run, I think. I mean, if it's not, it should be. And it really doesn't matter what your observability platform will be. You can use whatever you want, and you won't need to. And if you want to change your observability platform, you can just change in one click. So you can use Jaeger, Prometheus, Datadog, whatever you want, to aggregate all the data and present it back to you. So it has really been built with the idea of flexibility. So you can send hyper-specific data, and it's really easy to set up in the browser. So we'll see it right after. So just for me to know who is already using OpenTelemetry here. OK, so some of you will understand what I will show you. So how to do it? We are lucky. We just need to install some npm package. So we just install these npm packages with OpenTelemetry API, this one. For this is for the basic application. And I just put for Next.js some Vercel version, because now the Next.js is like kind of pushed a bit. So you have some auto-instrumentation for Vercel that allows you to automatically instrument your backend in Vercel, in Next.js. Sorry. And so just with that, you will end up with this night tracing. So this is a Next.js trace that tells me from the resolving of the page with the building of the component tree until my call to my database. So everything is one click away for you to have a tracing from your front end to your back end. So this is for Next.js. But not everyone is using Next.js. So for the other implementation, this is what looks like a web implementation of OpenTelemetry for the front-end part. So you just declare your service name to detect, to know what it is. Then you will declare your OpenTelemetry trace exporter. In my case, I just expose a new endpoint that forwards the traces directly to my OpenTelemetry exporter, just to avoid some course issues. I have some batch span processor, and then I can put whatever I want. In my case, I just put the get web auto instrumentation that will automatically instrument the fetch, the document load, all the interaction from the user. Everything is already traced and instrumented. But as I said just before, you want to have some specific data. I mean, this is for some apps, some basic configuration. But in your case, you will want more information. And this is how you can easily customize some traces. So here, for example, I just change the span name to put the resource name in the span, because for me it's easier to check the traces. I want to know if my resource is blocking, so I just add an attribute. And I just disabled a package because I don't use XML request. And so you can end up with something like that. This is like a document loading tracing. And so I can see all the resources that are fetched. And if I click on them, I can see if it's a blocking resource or not. So to understand how I can improve my loading time. We'll see it right after. So it's cool. I talked a lot. But what we want to have some demo. Just before I do that, I will just give you a quick overview of the configuration. So we will have a browser with a backend for frontend. So this will be a Next.js application. We will have an hotel collector. In our case, it's a data agent, but it can be whatever you want. It's easier for me. And your favorite observability platform. In terms of Docker, this is the Docker Compose. So we have just my web app with a Docker file and the agent or the exporters or the OpenTelemetry exporters that you want. OK. So it doesn't show. Boom. Where is it? It's here. This is my app. What it is. So it's just a book app from Next.js, so it's a template that I just took. And you can fill up a whole database with a lot of books. So it's just a demo. But what I've done is just I instrumented all of it. When I click somewhere, I know where I click. When I type something, I know what I'm typing. In terms of code, this is the code. So just before I told you, for the instrumentation part of Next.js, it will be quite simple, but this is how you instrument it. You just declare your thing, and since there is Vercel, you just register your OpenTelemetry and put your endpoint, and that's it. But for the front-end part, it's a little bit more complex. You have a little bit more boilerplate to do. And it's basically exactly what I've shown you before. The tracer exporter, the web tracer, the console span. And here, it's the customization that I've done for my case. So the resource name, the blocking, and all the events that I want to interact, to instrument. The cool thing is like there is a lot of events that you can interact with. Anything. There is really everything. Also, I put some extra attributes because by default, they put only the XPath. I don't know if you see what it is. It's something like no one understands and no one knows what you are targeting. So I put the ID, the class name, the type, more information that are useful for me to debug and to know where the user clicked. For some specific cases, for example, if it's an input, I want to know what he's typing. So same thing, I put the input value. If it's a link, I want to have the link. So you can customize it. Also, what I've done is, for example, here, I just put my user email. Okay, I put it in, it's just a string, but if you have your connection, your information, you could put your session user session information in here. So you can group by and filter by a specific session or by a specific email and know exactly what a user is doing. In the front end, I want to trace when the user is toggling a click, when the user is sliding, when the user is typing. I want to have more information on it. And so I can just create some span. Just create some span with some new name for me that are clear and I can understand directly to get the filter. And so everything will be traced. So I will show it after. And so now, what is happening? When I'm clicking somewhere, the page is loading. Cool, so we'll see the trace right after. When I'm changing the number of pages, everything is loading. But what I want to be able to correlate between this action and the calls that trigger the re-rendering of the server of the Next.js page. This is just for me to get the trace ID, it's easier. But since by default, OpenTelemetry sends the trace parent in the header, you can just retrieve it and use it as a trace parent. So this also means that if you are sending a trace to your backend and your backend is already using OpenTelemetry, the tracing from your frontend to your backend services is already done. You have nothing to do. And so after that, I'm just reusing all that stuff. I'm just adding some traces. So let's look at at some traces because this is interesting. I'm just using Datadog as an observability platform, but you can use whatever you want. So for example, here it's a get. I'll zoom a bit because it could be a bit small. And so I have all the information. I have really everything that is happening on my front-end application. I'll just save a few traces that are interesting. For example, when I clicked on a filter, when I change on a filter, I have directly the filter change action that triggers the server-side render and the different calls to my database until my Postgre database and to know exactly what was the query triggered to my database. So in my case, if I found the query, it's somewhere. I have just to find it. It's somewhere. Of course, I don't find it. Oh, trust me, there is a query. It should be. I don't find it. But so with that, I can know exactly the query that has been triggered by a click from a user. So if it's something is broken, so if the client says, hey, your button doesn't work, of course, you will be the first to reach out because you are the front end, so you are the teams that are client-facing. But maybe it's the backend that's doing bad stuff. Maybe it's you. And you want to know if it's you or the backend and send the issue to the backend team if it's them. So with that, you can directly see exactly where it's failing. Another example, so this is the example that I just showed before with the get by ID. I can know exactly the ID. Where is it? Where is it? Oops, not this one. I have the document load, all the resources. If it's blocking, so my custom attribute, all the attributes that I have, the path, the media. This is what? This is, for example, an input. If I tap on an input, what's the value that the user is typing? In my case, I type Tintin, so if I'm typing Tutu, if I'm typing UK, will it load some stuff or not? No. Okay. If I have some clicks, I have the attributes of the clicks, what's the target, what's the element. You have all the information that you need. And for example, for the toggle, when I slide, I have the list of ISBN, so this is the list of number for the books. I have everything that I need. And of course, since I put some email in it, I can group by the email, for example, and have directly the information of the session. So basically, with just OpenTelemetry, we kind of replaced 5 products. So just with OpenTelemetry, you can make some big deals. You can have the traces. You can have some real-time user monitoring. You can have some error tracking, because if you have some errors, they will be shown to you. You can have some product analytics data. And you can have the logs joined to your traces. Because OpenTelemetry does directly the link between the logs and the traces. So everything is done at one place. So if we do a little recap, what we have seen. We have seen how we can briefly set up OpenTelemetry. So basically, we install some NPM packages. And how we configure it. We also seen that it's highly customizable, and so you have to decide what you want. It's already integrated with your systems. So if your system is already using OpenTelemetry somewhere, it will already work out of the box. And the cool thing is that you have one common observability stack. So your observability team will be more than happy to help you to set up that, because they can reuse everything that they are already set up. If there are some Grafana board, if there are some Jaeger setup, if there are some Elastic Kibana, Datadog, whatever you want, they can reuse it. And so you can add some monitoring on your platform with ease thanks to your observability team. You are not like apart from them. You are not using some tools that they doesn't like to support, to be nice. You can directly reuse everything. So to conclude, let's be nice and let's put a bit of monitoring on that. I know it's at some works. I know that we have to think and to change a bit the way that we are working. I'm the first one that is not perfect for that. I can forget to put some monitoring and can forget to analyze some clicks. But at the end, we'll provide a better experience for our end user. We'll know when the errors are happening before they happened to a large scale of users. And I mean, our life will be much easier if we are not pinged every day by the client support if something is broken. Also, it will, at the beginning, you will replicate yourself. You will duplicate your code by getting the trace parent, etc. But at the end, you will be able to put directly some tools, as in the backend, some tools directly to monitor, to do some better monitoring for your frontend, and to just reuse some utils tool, some library directly from in your application. Thank you very much. That's it. You will have the slide at a point in my GitHub, I think tonight. I will put them if you want them. And you can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever you want. And if you have some questions, we have 5 minutes left for some questions. Yeah.